So another thing they might ask you to do is to simplify square roots. Now for these, they're not looking for the actual value of the square root. They just want you to simplify it just like we would simplify fractions whenever we can. So what we're looking for here is for the same pairs of factors. So for example, if you have a square root of 486, let's factor this. So because it's an even number, we know that 2 divides it evenly. So 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and then 2 goes into 6 3 times. And then we can factor further from there. Now, because it's an odd number, I know that 2 doesn't go in, so maybe let's try 3. So let's add up the digits. 2 plus 4 gives us 6, plus 3 more gives us 9. And then so I know that 3 goes in, but actually, because it adds up to 9, I know that 9 goes in. So I might divide it by 9 instead. Okay, so 9 goes into 24 2 times, that'd be 18, with 6 left over. Then 9 goes into 63 7 times. And then I know that 27 is really just 9 times 3. So now we've factored 486 and we're looking for pairs. So you see that we have a pair of 9s. Now, what this really means is that the square root of 486 is just 2 times 9 squared times 3. So we can really rewrite this as the square root of 2 times the square root of 9 squared times the square root of 3. And remember, squares and square roots are opposites of each other, so they just cancel each other out. So the square and the square root cancel each other out, so we just have 9, and we still have a square root of 2 and a square root of 3. But most of the time, we won't have more than one square root at a time, so we'll just multiply these back together, and we'll have 9 square root of 6. So in reality, though, we could have gotten here straight from the previous problem because anytime you have a pair, that's going to go outside the square root. And then the leftover, the numbers, the 2 and the 3, multiply back together and they stay inside the square root. Okay, what if you have, for example, 6,400? Well, because you have 2 zeros, you know that one of the factors is going to be 100 because 100 has 2 zeros. And the other factor will be 64. And you can factor 64 into 8 times 8 and 100 into 10 times 10. And because we already have pairs, we don't need to factor these all the way until they're primes because all we're looking for is just pairs. So we can really rewrite 6,400 as 8 times 10 because we're choosing one of each pair. And because there are no leftover numbers, there's not going to be anything left over in the square root. And so our final answer is just going to be 80.